Hi there. You may notice we have a new microphone, so hopefully the sound quality will be somewhat better. I know it hasn't been too bad, but I thought I'd go a little bit more professional and get this set up. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about this book, The World's Most Dangerous Places, by Robert Young Pelton. Now, this book was recommended to me by Marcus and one of his good friends, Rob Crott, a former military guy who became a journalist, is one of the contributors to it. And the book really, as its title suggests, is a guide to travelling to and working or surviving, I would guess, in the most dangerous places in the world. And really the book is for anybody who is an adventurer, an adrenaline junkie, people who need to gather intelligence or information about a particular area for whatever reason, professional reason, and people like journalists and so on. So right at the beginning, the list of contents gives you, or sections really, the main sections: what is dangerous, what danger awaits the weary traveller, making the best of nasty situations, business travellers, professional victims, tourists, bribes, dangerous jobs, dangerous diseases, drugs, getting arrested, guns, kidnapping, military and paramilitary organisations, adventure clubs, etc. So it's a really densely packed book. It's quite a solid book, full of information. Now, among the dangerous places they mention is Afghanistan. However, the book was written before 9/11, and at the time Afghanistan was kind of a destination on the hippie trail, and the book very, very wisely points out the dangers of going to places like that. And so the time factor is important here, because some places mentioned in the book as being very, very dangerous have calmed down a bit, and some places the book hasn't mentioned or didn't really emphasize, such as Mexico, have become hellholes. Funny enough, very last week I was talking to two women separately who are both going on holiday to Mexico this year, and I told them some of the facts of life about the place, and hopefully alerted them a little bit. So even though some of the information may be out of date, if you take the basic premise of the book, that if you are going to a dangerous place, this is the advice to follow, and then you can find out on the list available, say from the Foreign Office, advisories which places are dangerous. The section on medical and diseases is jaw-dropping. The problems with disease, bites, insects, snakes, germs, etc., water, in many places of the world can leave you with lasting souvenirs of your trip. And really reading that chapter alone possibly makes you want to rip up your passport. Another section is on the types of travel. It covers every type of travel there is. I was particularly interested in the section on flying. And it says if you fly with the first world major airlines, major commercial carriers, it's something like 150 times safer than walking. However, as you drop down the types of aircraft from the major airliners going into the commuter jets, and then further down into small twins and single-engined aircraft, and then going to aviation in places where the maintenance isn't done so regularly. They're flying older aircraft into some very, very hair-raising airstrips and so on. Your chances of accidents increase exponentially. He mentions in particular Russia, and he says their crowning glory is the Mir space station. Apart from that, avoid Soviet aviation. It's an absolute disaster. And he says, on how to survive flying, stick to US-based carriers with good safety records. Fly between major airports on non-stop flights. Avoid bad weather or flying at night. Avoid older Soviet or Chinese-made aircraft or helicopters. And airlines to avoid are Air Afrique, Nigerian Airways, Cubana, Indian Airlines, Garuda, Aeroflot, and any airline that has a laughing goat as a logo. Having worked in several countries throughout the world, I found the book very, very interesting. The section on South Africa refers to it as the most dangerous place outside of a war zone. And having worked there many, many times and worked with the police there, I can certainly back that up. But it's a major tourist destination as well, and the two things can be problematic. I remember coming out of the gym in South Africa and bumping into a quite elderly British gent who was a tourist, and he had his camera around his neck, and he was wandering in an area which was notably high crime, and I gave him a little bit of advice. So tourists really do have to do the homework. I found at the time I bought the book, which was about when it came out in the 90s, that it was a very useful reference for planning. And we were doing a protection job, and I did gain some information from it to brief the guys on. Now, of course, the internet provides a lot of information, and that kind of has replaced these types of books. One point I would make is that you go to a dangerous area and you're operating on very high levels of alertness and so on. You're putting everything the book advises you to do into place. However, when you come home, don't necessarily think you're safe, because danger can happen anywhere. I was at a presentation in America, and the instructor was talking about hostile environments, and he showed a photograph, and it was taken from his front door, and he said a shooting happened there. It can happen anywhere, and so don't make assumptions. For VIP protection, I had a threat level system that may be of interest, and the first level was background, the background threat. So what's going on all the time at random. So for example, in Iraq, there were numerous attacks at random, explosive ambushes, IEDs, close quarter shootings, and so on, which were just happening all over the place. And somebody going to the mosque could be blown up. A woman going to the market could encounter a bomb. It could just happen to anyone at any time over there. So you're operating in that. The background level is very, very high. The next is the generic threat, which is directed against for example, foreigners, anybody identifiable as a Westerner or foreigner, American, US, or UK, for example. And then finally, a specific threat against the particular VIP entity you're protecting. So it's always interesting to know that background threat is always one to take into account. So all in all, I enjoyed the book. I got a lot from it. There was a couple more editions after this, but I never really saw the need to get them, because the basic information, if you take the principles as being important, that's what worked. Interesting read, and it does raise your awareness of some of the problems, the kind of patterns of encounter that you might find, how criminals operate. You know, that can be a very, very important thing to give you the platform to operate on as regards your awareness and precautions you're going to take. So, interesting book.